These are the women who haunt our nightmares. Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 American Horror Story Villainesses. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at some of the greatest villainesses from the first 7 seasons of American Horror Story. We're considering the characters' backgrounds, personalities, motivations, and the performance of the respective actresses bringing them to life. We're also not only looking at primary and clear-cut villains. As long as a character did something deplorable, they will be considered. Number 10. Moira O'Hara, American Horror Story Murder House.
The spirit is willing, the flesh is weak.
Moira is one of the most physically interesting characters in the entire American Horror Story canon. Her maid outfit and striking red hair make her an unforgettable physical presence, and her altering between young and sexy and old and partially blind makes her one of the most unique American Horror Story villains. She's also a strong female character, a femme fatale who despises men's penchant for lying and sex. Therefore, she uses her sexuality against Ben to test his commitment and resolve.
What are you afraid of? Your wife's not home.
Of course, she also has a strong motive in wanting her bones removed from the house. Okay, that doesn't justify murdering a guy, but we can certainly understand her frustration.
So you don't want me? You don't find me attractive?
Just make Violet a sandwich, please.
Number 9. Elsa Mars, American Horror Story Freak Show.
You ungrateful ingrates!
Elsa Mars was yet another standout character brilliantly portrayed by Jessica Lange. Elsa acted as the dangerously ambitious manager of the Freak Show, who holds a dark and potentially damaging secret. Elsa is a great villain, from the extravagant clothing that makes her appear firm and professional, to her cold, greedy personality that solidifies her as a rather selfish and inconsiderate individual. However, she also shows a soft side towards the freaks, which nicely rounds out her character and makes her much more than a one-dimensional villain.
For a short time, it was an act of charity. I felt sorry for them.
And like usual, Jessica Lange plays the duality of her character to perfection, which allows us to feel both sympathy and hatred towards Elsa.
Try not to miss.
I always miss, darling. That's the point.
Number 8. Marie Laveau, American Horror Story Coven.
You don't mess with the wrong witch.
Marie Laveau is undoubtedly one of the most unique villains of American Horror Story. She's both a powerful and dark voodoo queen, and a woman who wears bright outfits along with various antiquated hairstyles. It's an interesting concoction that makes Marie both threatening and endearing. She also comes equipped with a tragic backstory. She made a deal with Papa Legba, who in turn took away her newborn baby.
I'm ashamed to show you my weakness.
She's the ultimate badass and a terrifying character who literally kills babies, but yet she is somehow ultimately relatable. Hey, it's not easy to make a baby killer sympathetic, but such is the weirdness of American Horror Story.
I taught myself long ago not to waste tears for the dead.
Number 7. Bette Dot Tattler, American Horror Story Freak Show.
I was having the most beautiful dream. Why did you wake me?
While you could argue that these two are not villains, they are still murderers. Freak Show is full of interesting characters, and conjoined twins Bette Dot Tattler are 2 for the ages. What makes this pair of characters so fascinating is that we get 2 for the price of 1. Bette is ambitious and sweet, minus, murdering her mother, whereas Dot is cynical, cold, and compulsive. Enough so that she stabs Bette with a pair of scissors. While they certainly have an extremely violent and temperamental side, they were also abused by their mother, which adds dimension to their motivations and personalities.
We're not performers.
Speak for yourself.
Number 6. Fiona Goode, American Horror Story Coven.
In about 10 seconds, I'm gonna turn the heat up in that chubby melon of yours.
Fiona Goode is the supreme witch of the Salem descendants. And damn if she isn't one of the vilest characters of American Horror Story. Her actions somewhat betray her last name, as she is a despicable person who commits despicable acts, including murder and physically abusing her daughter. She's also utterly deceitful and is not afraid to kill literally everyone in her way to remain supreme.
What's the matter? Can't cut your tongue.
But no matter how vile she may be, her charisma, intelligence, and beauty are enough to warrant her a few adoring fans. When one thinks of the most loathsome characters in the show's history, one undoubtedly thinks of Fiona Goode. But you really love to hate her.
I'm Queen of the Witches.
Number 5. The Butcher, also known as Thomasin White, American Horror Story Roanoke.
Do not defy me again.
If there's one actress who can consistently portray utter depravity, it's Kathy Bates. For the show's 6th season, Bates took on the role of Thomasin White, the brutal leader of the lost colony of Roanoke. Well, okay, she took on the role of an actress playing Thomasin White, but whatever. The Butcher is a terrifying villain with absolutely no remorse or heart, as she mercilessly butchers anyone who stands in the way of her land, even her own son. She also regularly appears covered in blood, and in real life has cracked green skin and reddened eyes. The Butcher is evil incarnate, and she makes for a horrifying villain.
Ungrateful wretches. My hardship and sacrifice, I met with mutiny.
Number 4, Delphine LaLaurie, American Horror Story Coven.
I'm Madame Delphine LaLaurie, mistress of the house LaLaurie.
Coven is full of malicious and depraved villains, but Delphine LaLaurie is arguably the worst of the bunch. Delphine is one of the most heartless and violent characters in American Horror Story, as she regularly tortures and experiments on her slaves, turns one into the Minotaur, and makes a bomb out of their organs. She also has a vicious tongue, and is not afraid to speak her mind, and is openly racist in the modern world, fearing God's abandonment after learning of Barack Obama's presidency.
Oh Lord, my God, have you forsaken this once proud country?
There are few, if any, redeeming qualities to Delphine. She's an utterly contemptible person, but that is exactly what makes her such an intriguing villain. Number 3, Constance Langdon, American Horror Story Murder House.
I'm Constance, your neighbor from next door.
Constance Langdon is a sympathetic figure. She absolutely refused to do nudity for films, an objection that resulted in the end of her acting career. She also lost the house after it was repossessed, and she was present when her son was killed by SWAT. That said, she did murder her husband and Moira and secretly disposed of their bodies, so yeah, not a good person either.
I've loved you since I was 16.
Jessica Lange's performance is pitch perfect, as she nails the duality between Constance's ugly past and motivations, and her morose longing for the return of her prosperous youth. She's one of the OG American Horror Story villains, and remains one of its best.
Instead of glory,
Bitter disappointment.
Number 2, Elizabeth, also known as the Countess, American Horror Story Hotel.
Can't be true. You died.
And am reborn.
When it was announced that Lady Gaga was going to be in American Horror Story, everyone had a good little judgmental chuckle. However, she was the one who had the last laugh, as she gave us one of the best villains of the entire show and earned herself a Golden Globe in the process.
I happen to think you're a genius.
Her win was well-deserved, as she beautifully conveyed Elizabeth's three-dimensional complexity and mystique. She sustains herself on sex, blood, and murder. Though everyone sees her as some sort of manipulative devil, she also displays incredible fear, compassion, and vulnerability, ensuring that she is horrifying and enthralling in equal measure.
It's a invitation for an adventure.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
You know that's all a crock of shit, right? I mean, why wait for some phony happily ever after when you can have your peace now, I say.
Losing your sight is the least of your problems.
Those girls had better not come around my place again. I will call the police, and I will press charges.
Number 1, Sister Mary Eunice, also known as the Devil, American Horror Story Asylum.
I have to admit, I found your innocence quite intoxicating.
How could we give it to anyone else? She's literally the devil. It doesn't get much worse than that. Sister Mary Eunice herself is a very meek, pure, and agreeable individual who only wishes to please those around her. However, she is quickly possessed by the devil and becomes, well, pure, unfiltered evil.
Sister.
She drives Jude mad, manipulates others for her own gain, murders and feeds patients to Arden's creatures, and even attempts to control the Vatican. Mary's literal devilish personality and actions, coupled with her cute and innocent physical appearance, make her the most distinctive, bizarre, and utterly enjoyable villain of the entire series.
I can't imagine what you're so afraid of. Get on your knees and we'll pray it all the way.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from MsMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.